Welcome back to Fly Fishing Rutland Water. It's now the 2022 season. It's Tuesday, March the 15th. We're now 4 days into the season, and it's one of the hardest starts to the season I think I've ever had. I fished an opening day. I went up to Yellowstone because I thought the conditions were absolutely perfect for Yellowstone. It was almost identical to previous years where I've caught lots of fish, and I never touched the thing. The water's extremely cold, so I think the fish seem to be quite far out. There's not been a lot getting caught off the banks. The fish have come on periodically, and if you're in the right place at the right time, you can get quite a lot of fish. Unfortunately, I have not been in the right place at the right time. So I know there's a lot of fish that have been off here, off East Creek. So I decided to come and give them a go off the boat. Because I fished the bank yesterday on Old Hall, no luck whatsoever. I read a blog by Craig Barr this morning, and he was out with a very talented young angler a couple of days ago, and they had an excellent day. So I thought I would come out. I know where the fish are. The fish are out here off of East Creek, and I'm trying a couple of brightly coloured flies, because they're mainly stockies. So a couple of bright coloured flags to see if I can tempt some of these stockies up to the surface so that we can get a fish on film for you, which has been incredibly difficult. On opening day, I did all my classic tactics. I fished the whole length of the bank. I went up and down in the water, I changed flies, I used all of the techniques that I would normally use and never touched the thing. So today, I'm doing what I very rarely do, which is going out in the boat early in the season. I normally don't have to. Normally I get fish off the bank, but the fish seem to be sitting in the deeper water. After having drawn out the contours, the fish seem to be sitting in the kind of around the area where the 50 feet depth is, or the drop off towards the 50 feet in depth. So I'm going to come out and get a few hours this afternoon. I wanted deliberately to let the water warm up, because I thought if the fish eventually come onto the buzzers, it'll be when the water warms up a little bit. But at the moment I'm using a DI3, I'm kind of going down a little bit in the water. Now there's a chap over there who's just caught, so there are fish in the area obviously. I'm kind of just doing a 2-fly setup with a couple of fabs 10 feet apart, just trying to get the fish to come up and go for something bright. Now there haven't been a lot of boats out because there's only 20 boats allowed out now, so the fish have not really been getting completely hammered, so I'm hoping that we can tempt them. Now this is also a spot where the water is being pumped into the reservoir, so I've also got to believe that that fresh water being pumped in is having some kind of effect. It's drawn the fish to that particular spot. It's also not been easy off the boats. I've heard quite a few reports of boat anglers saying that they've had quite a hard time as well. So I've started with a DI3. I'm going to start DI3 and I'm going to gradually come up in the water. There's a nice little bit of cloud cover. It is warming up a bit, so I'm hoping that might be something that brings the fish on a little bit. But I'm going to just keep moving up this bank. Not being afraid to go into the deeper water, because I think where I am now is almost next to buoy 15, is roughly where the deep water drop off starts for real. There's a massive deep water hole along here, and because we know where the fish are, my wife was saying to me, you should watch that guy on YouTube, he seems to know what he's talking about, and he says the fish are all in the deep water, so you're not going to get anything off the bank. So I followed my wife's wise words of wisdom. But to be fair, I just wanted to come out because I made a hash of filming on opening day. My body cam for some reason got corrupted. So I thought if I come out today, even if I blank, it's a nice day for filming. It's beautiful sunshine. I normally hate coming out in the boat early season because it's so cold. Now that's not the case today. This is almost, this is like almost May type weather today. Is that chap in again? He is. That chap's had about 2 fish in the space of about 5 or 10 minutes. And it's outer into that deeper water. boat right behind me, closer into the bank. I'm hoping that the DI3 is getting me down through the depths. It's not just going straight down, it's going to fish a number of different depths simultaneously. And hopefully I'll find where the fish are. Now, according to Craig Barr, the tactic is to throw the flies out, do the usual competition tactic of creating a disturbance when they land and then bring them back on a slow figure of 8. So that's what I'm trying. My Apple Watch is applauding me for the exercise because the boat's moving, it thinks that I'm exercising. I guess the movement of the fly rod does count as a little bit of exercise. I used this technique at Drake in a competition where I caught 11 fish and it worked really, really well. Very similar conditions to today, but that was in October. So I'm using a technique I learned from the competition anglers, which is to use G-clamps to enable you to effectively steer the drogue. So we'll see if it works. So we pop the line through the carabiner. And then link the two pieces together. And then what that should enable us to do is change the angle of the drift. Right, now I've got to remember what's my fast intermediate. Is it the dark one or the light one? Can never remember. We'll try each of them in turn anyway. Another trick from the competition anglers, using a long leader. This is supposed to speed up changing lines. Now we've come up in the water just a little bit, because the DI3 sinks at 3 inches per second. The fast glass is 1.5, so hopefully we are going to intercept the fish a little bit higher in the water. So that definitely does work. Having that extra bit of leader speeds up changing the spools from one sinking line to another. Now this is roughly in the spot where those chaps were catching. It was just past the buoys that mark the deeper water. Did see some buzzers hatching in near the dock, so there might also be a chance of some buzzer action today. I don't know, we shall find out. Well, that drogue's made a big difference. That competition technique of using the G-clamps to control the drift of the drogue really works. Wind's getting up nicely and there's a little bit of cloud. I'd have thought that would have brought the fish up a little bit. No follows. I haven't seen any fish under the surface following the flies. With such a dense concentration of stockies around here, I mean, there's about 12,000 fish have gone in and around this area, so one would expect to see a few follows. Ah, fish! Way! First fish of the season! Way! Well, it proves if the fish won't come to you, go to the fish. That's less than half an hour in. As soon as I went into the fast glass, we connect with a fish. And it's on the fab as well. So let's get the net. Nothing massive, obviously. Just an early season stocky. Come on, come on, come on. There's plenty of life in it though. Just came up in the water, ever so slightly, and that's less than half an hour in. That'll do nicely, folks. First fish of the season. Woohoo! Welcome back to fly fishing Rutland Water. Now this one's going to go back. There we go. Nice little stocky. No silver in the tail, so it's not been in for any length of time. So let's just get it unhooked and straight back into the water. So first fish of the 2022 season. A lively little bugger as well. Let it go back nice and quick. Right, on you go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There you go. Way. Woohoo. At least we've ended the early season blanking. It's good to get off the mark. I'm never really bothered about blanking off the bank. I would have been disappointed if I hadn't got anything off the boat, given what I knew about where the fish have been in the last few days. So that was nice to get one. I love the fact there's clouds coming over. They may come up even higher in the water. A particular mark as well. They seem to be in a particular area. Ferocious take as well. Same tactics again. Throw it out. Let the fish find the fabs in their own time. I'm using a kind of orange and yellow fab and one of those kind of candy yellow fabs as well. I even tried Army Wood on opening day because the wind changed, but it was very, very hard there. I was having to do reverse casting, and although I never caught any fish, it was a really interesting experiment because I was able to cast quite a decent distance with the wind being in completely the wrong direction. Now that could be handy later in the season. The wind is changing a little bit. It's veering along from, like it was yesterday, it's trying to come from the south east more than the southwest. It's funny, I had a theory all week about the fish being in that deep water, and it seems I was absolutely bang on. And I don't know whether it's because that's where the reservoir water's been pumped in, or because it's the warmer water, but they seem to be definitely on that magical dark blue to light dark blue contour line. Oh no! Caught a duck! I've had plenty of ducks in terms of the number of fish I've caught, but not physically catching a duck. I have to say though, this is a nice spot to fish in for filming, because we've got beautiful views of the sunken church. At least if we don't catch any fish, we've got some nice scenery to show you. Sometimes it's funny when you catch one early on, you don't get another one. It can be very infuriating. Now I can just see the spot here where there's water being pumped into the reservoir. Now, at the fly fishing large reservoirs day out on Rutland last year, I fished this spot with Paul Cramp, and we got quite a lot of fish. The fish seem to be coming around this water that's been pumped in from like the rivers around Rutland. Now I don't know if it'll happen again, but last time we fished it when it was like this, we got a lot of fish. Granted, I was getting them on the surface on dry daddies. Paul Cramp was getting them on competition setup. But there's something about the water intake seemed to be sparking the fish's interest. I just wonder today whether is it doing the same thing. There's not many occasions where I've been fishing when this has been on, so now this is something new to try. So if you've never seen this in Rutland Water, maybe this may be a little bit too early in the season, but if the water inlet is pumping, give it a go. And Paul Cramp and I had over 20 fish to the boat, and that doesn't happen very often for me. I'm not a numbers guy. But in and around this area, maybe the water's a little bit too cold at the moment to get that activity, but we had a fabulous session in and around the spot. My wife was following me on Find My Friends like she often does when I'm fishing, and she couldn't believe that I literally sat in one spot. She said, you left the boathouse, turned left, went to one spot and never moved for the entire day, and that's really how it was. I was fishing a couple of daddies on the surface and kind of ripping them back and getting these really, really aggressive follows and takes. It was really exciting, but I think that was June, so maybe March is a little bit early for this. But the good thing is it means that there's a lot of water being pumped into the reservoir, and hopefully we'll get up to full level pretty soon. Try pulling it a little bit. Yeah, and the last time we were here in June, you could see all the fish moving around it. That's why we stopped. We just immediately saw fish moving on the surface. So we knew we'd probably be in, and we were. So give this place a go. In the right conditions, it can be... Oh! Fish followed. I don't know if you saw that, but that fish followed the fab. Ah! It ignored the... So there was a fish there, and it ignored the Pittsford Pete and went for the fab. Wow! So there are fish in and around here. Wow! It's the first one I've seen under the surface all day, and it was the fab. So I'm going to put another fab on because that's clearly what they're interested in. So let's get that Pittsford Pea off and get another fab in, because that was definitely a fish coming up for a look on the DI3. That was a fish following. There's a fish at that fly, there was. Ah! That was a follow and a tug on the surface. In that same spot, just out from where the... Oh, that was annoying. Should have had that one. Well, that was a bit of a tangle, I think. Pull it in just to see. Yeah. Oh! Right, I was stripping that in. Do they want it a bit fast? I was stripping that in because I was in a tangle, and the fish went... I don't know if you saw that on camera, but that was... wild. So he managed a fish and 3 follows. Now if those follows on any other day, the fish might have been more aggressive, but today they seem a little bit tentative, and I don't know why. And the one that took absolutely hammered the fly, but the other ones that have been in and around have just not looked as interested. I don't know what it is, whether it's the sunlight or the differences in water temperatures and air temperatures. But hey, it's early season. Early season is notoriously unpredictable, and this year is no different. I thought I would have got one on this drift at the end of the day, because it just seems to have got a little bit darker. I thought the fish might have got a little bit more confident, but it hasn't seemed to have happened. Well, thanks for coming out fly fishing on Rutland Water with me. It's nice to finally get the first fish of the season. Might just be a stocky, but they all count, and by goodness it's appreciated. We also had 3 follows And a duck. A duck. So if you've liked this video, please make sure you hit the like button, and I'd be delighted if you would subscribe to the channel to see more of my fishy adventures. Thanks for watching.